Why do some actors become more unforgettable when they stop playing heroes and step into Satan's hooves? This isn't just a list of villains, it's a look at the faces that made evil feel charming, seductive, terrifying, and sometimes disturbingly human. From whispered temptation to full demonic spectacle, these performances changed how audiences saw the devil on screen. But one actor didn't just play darkness, he owned it. Number 20. Max von Sydow, Needful Things, 1993. The scariest devil is not the one who attacks you, it is the one who sells you exactly what you secretly want. Max von Sydow's Leland Gaunt in Needful Things does not arrive with flames, horns, or thunder. He arrives as a polite shopkeeper, the kind of stranger who smiles warmly while measuring the weakness behind your eyes. That is what makes the performance so quietly dangerous. Gaunt opens a mysterious antique shop in a small Maine town, and somehow, every customer finds the one object they believe will complete their life. But every gift has a price, and every bargain pushes the town closer to chaos. Von Sydow plays him with elegant restraint, turning temptation into a civilized transaction. The brilliance is in how ordinary he seems. He does not force anyone to become cruel, he simply gives them permission. For a story about evil, Needful Things understands something deeply uncomfortable. Sometimes Satan does not destroy people by frightening them, he destroys them by giving them a deal they are too proud to refuse. Number 19. Linda Blair, The Exorcist, 1973. A child's bedroom became one of cinema's most feared battlegrounds, and Linda Blair was trapped at the center of it. In The Exorcist, Blair does not technically play Satan himself, but her performance as Regan MacNeil became one of the most unforgettable images of demonic corruption ever put on screen. That is why she belongs in a list about actors who stepped into Satan's shadow. What begins as a story about a frightened mother and a sick child slowly turns into a spiritual nightmare, where innocence is twisted into something cruel, mocking, and almost impossible to look away from. Blair's role shocked audiences because it violated something sacred, the idea that childhood is untouchable. Her performance, supported by chilling makeup, voice work, and brutal atmosphere, made viewers feel that evil could invade the safest place in the house. The cultural impact was massive. People did not just watch The Exorcist, they reacted to it, feared it, argued about it, and remembered it. Blair became the face of possession because she made evil feel personal. Number 18. Sam Neill, The Omen 3, The Final Conflict, 1981. Power looks most terrifying when it wears a perfect suit and believes destiny is on its side. Sam Neill's Damien Thorne in The Omen 3. The Final Conflict is not a screaming monster. He is something colder, smoother, and far more dangerous. He is the Antichrist as a public figure, a man whose charm, intelligence, and authority make evil look respectable. That is the frightening core of Neill's performance. Damien is no longer the mysterious child surrounded by death. He is grown, polished, influential, and fully aware of what he is meant to become. Neill gives him a controlled intensity, suggesting that beneath every calm speech is a storm of hatred, ambition, and spiritual arrogance. His evil is not chaotic. It is organized. It understands politics, image, and persuasion. That makes the character feel disturbingly modern. The film may not be the most celebrated chapter of the series, but Neill's presence gives it weight. His Damien proves that screen evil does not always need darkness around it. Sometimes it walks into daylight and gets applauded. Number 17. Jack Nicholson, The Witches of Eastwick, 1987. Nobody made the devil look more like a party guest you should never have invited. Jack Nicholson's Daryl Van Horn in The Witches of Eastwick is outrageous, seductive, funny, and dangerous all at once. He does not enter the story like a traditional demonic ruler. He crashes into a quiet town as pure disruption, awakening desire, jealousy, power, and chaos in everyone around him. Nicholson understands the role as performance within performance. His devil is theatrical because he knows people are watching, and he enjoys making them uncomfortable. The grin, the sarcasm, the explosive moods, the animal confidence, all of it turns Daryl into a force of temptation rather than just a villain. What makes the performance memorable is how entertaining it is before it becomes frightening. Viewers laugh, then realize the joke is happening at everyone's expense. The film uses comedy, fantasy, and menace to show evil as something charming enough to be welcomed inside. Nicholson's mini-conclusion is simple. His devil does not need to hide the danger. He makes danger look irresistible. Number 16. Gabriel Byrne, End of Days, 1999. The end of the world did not arrive screaming. It arrived wearing wealth, confidence, and a perfectly controlled smile. Gabriel Byrne's Satan in End of Days is one of the film's strongest weapons because he plays evil with unnerving calm. His character appears through a possessed Wall Street banker, a choice that instantly gives the devil a modern costume: power, money, appetite, and influence. Byrne does not overplay the darkness. Instead, he lets it leak through small gestures, quiet threats, and a sense of absolute entitlement. Opposite Arnold Schwarzenegger's broken ex-cop, Byrne becomes the elegant nightmare behind the Millennium Panic. The film mixes action, horror, religion, and apocalyptic spectacle, but Byrne grounds the chaos by making Satan feel ancient and bored at the same time. He does not seem desperate to win. He seems certain that humanity will eventually offer itself to him. That confidence is what makes the portrayal dangerous. In a movie full of explosions, Byrne's most chilling effect is stillness. His devil does not chase the world. He waits for it to collapse. Number 15. Rosalinda Celentano, The Passion of the Christ, 2004. This devil does not roar from a throne. This devil watches suffering with the silence of something ancient. Rosalinda Celentano's Satan in The Passion of the Christ is one of the most visually haunting portrayals of evil in modern religious cinema. The performance is not built on speeches or dramatic outbursts. It is built on presence. Celentano appears pale, calm, and almost ghost-like, moving through the film like a living shadow, observing pain, doubt, and sacrifice. That restraint makes the character deeply unsettling. Instead of presenting Satan as a loud monster, the film imagines evil as patient, watchful, and strangely beautiful in a disturbing, inhuman way. Celentano's androgynous appearance adds to the mystery, making the figure feel less like a person and more like a spiritual force. The impact comes from contrast. Brutality surrounds the story, but Satan remains composed, as if waiting for weakness to appear. That is why the performance stays in the mind. Celentano proves that sometimes the most frightening devil is not the one who attacks. It is the one who observes. Number 14. Jamie Sheridan, The Stand, 1994. After the world falls apart, the most dangerous survivor is the one who starts building a kingdom from fear. Jamie Sheridan's Randall Flagg in The Stand is not always called Satan directly, but he carries the full weight of a devil figure: tempter, destroyer, prophet of chaos, and ruler of the broken. In Stephen King's apocalyptic story, civilization is devastated by a deadly plague, leaving survivors to choose between two spiritual forces. Sheridan's Flagg becomes the dark magnet, pulling the desperate, angry, and power-hungry toward him. What makes his portrayal effective is the casual confidence. He smiles like a man who already knows people will fail their moral tests. He is frightening because he understands weakness better than kindness does. Flagg is not just evil in a supernatural sense. He is evil as leadership, spectacle, and manipulation. Sheridan gives him a strange charisma, the kind that makes followers mistake fear for strength. His performance turns the end of the world into a recruitment campaign. The mini-conclusion is brutal. When society collapses, the devil does not need to hide. He starts giving orders. Number 13. Dustin Hoffman, The Messenger, The Story of Joan of Arc, 1999. Sometimes the devil does not tempt you with pleasure. Sometimes he tortures you with doubt. Dustin Hoffman's mysterious figure in The Messenger, The Story of Joan of Arc, is one of the strangest entries on this list, because the character is not presented as a simple horned villain. He may be conscience, hallucination, divine test, satanic whisper, or all of them at once. That uncertainty is exactly what makes the performance fascinating. Hoffman appears as a hooded presence confronting Joan with questions about faith, violence, guilt, and certainty. Instead of pushing her toward obvious evil, he forces her to examine whether her holy mission has been mixed with pride, rage, and human confusion. That is a very different kind of devilish power. He does not need to lie loudly. He only needs to ask the question that cracks the soul open. Hoffman plays the figure with quiet intelligence, turning spiritual conflict into psychological pressure. The result is unsettling because it refuses easy answers. His devil, if that is what he is, does not burn Joan. He makes her look inward. Number 12. Tony Todd, Final Destination, 2000. Death needed a voice, and Tony Todd gave it the patience of something that never loses. In Final Destination, Todd's William Bloodworth is not officially Satan, but the film surrounds him with such ominous authority that he feels like a messenger from the devil's own waiting room. He appears when the young survivors are trying to understand why death is still hunting them after they escaped a plane disaster. Todd's deep voice, still posture, and knowing eyes turn a small role into one of the franchise's most memorable presences. He does not chase anyone. He does not threaten in the usual way. He explains the rules with the calm of someone who has seen every ending before. That is what makes him so effective. Bloodworth represents inevitability, and inevitability can feel more terrifying than any monster. Todd brings a grim elegance to the role, suggesting that death is not angry, it is simply orderly. His performance gives Final Destination its mythic edge. The conclusion is chilling. The devil may bargain, but death keeps the appointment. Number 11. Ray Wise, Reaper. 2007. This devil smiles like your favorite uncle, then reminds you that your soul is already on the paperwork. Ray Wise's Satan in Reaper is a masterclass in charming menace. The series follows a young man forced to work as a bounty hunter for hell after his parents made a terrible deal before his birth. That setup could have been pure horror, but Wise turns the devil into something funnier, smoother, and more unnerving. His Satan is witty, stylish, persuasive, and almost impossible not to enjoy. That is the trap. Wise understands that the devil should not always look repulsive. Sometimes he should be likable enough to make damnation feel like bad customer service instead of cosmic horror. His timing is sharp, his smile is dangerous, and his calmness makes every threat feel casual. The performance works because it hides cruelty under charisma. You laugh with him, then remember he owns the room. In a lighter supernatural series, Wise still gives evil real weight. His devil proves that charm can be a weapon sharper than fear. Number 10. Al Pacino, The Devil's Advocate, 1997. The devil did not need a pitchfork when he had a corner office, a courtroom, and Al Pacino's voice. In The Devil's Advocate, Pacino's John Milton is one of cinema's most iconic modern versions of Satan because he turns temptation into corporate success. He does not lure people with obvious evil. He offers ambition, pleasure, status, victory, and the intoxicating belief that morality is just a weakness for people who cannot win. Pacino plays Milton with volcanic charisma, shifting from friendly mentor to philosophical predator with terrifying ease. His law firm becomes a kind of luxury hell, where every polished surface reflects corruption hiding in plain sight. Opposite Keanu Reeves' ambitious young lawyer, Pacino slowly reveals a devil who knows exactly how humans excuse themselves. That is the genius of the performance. Milton does not create vanity, greed, or desire. He simply celebrates them until they become a prison. Pacino makes the role unforgettable because he understands Satan as both showman and salesman. His final impact is wickedly clear. The devil wins when people call surrender success. Number 9. Peter Stormare, Constantine, 2005. Hell has never looked more exhausted, amused, and terrifying at the same time. Peter Stormare's Lucifer in Constantine is unforgettable because he does the opposite of what most actors would do with the devil. He does not enter like a roaring beast or a king surrounded by flames. He walks in barefoot, wearing a white suit, with tar dripping from his feet, looking almost bored by humanity's suffering. That strange visual choice instantly makes him feel ancient, sickly, and powerful in a way that words cannot explain. Stormare plays Lucifer as a being who enjoys control more than chaos. He talks softly, smiles strangely, and treats damnation like a personal business deal. Opposite Keanu Reeves' John Constantine, his presence becomes electric because the audience realizes this devil is not trying to impress anyone. He already knows he owns the room. The performance is short, but it dominates the film's memory. Every movement feels unpredictable. Every pause feels like a threat. Stormare turns Satan into something sticky, intimate, and disturbingly playful, as if evil has waited centuries just to enjoy this one conversation. In a movie full of demons, angels, and supernatural rules, he delivers the most humanly disturbing monster of all. A devil who seems delighted not by screaming, but by the possibility of winning one soul at the perfect moment. Number 8. Mark Sheppard, Supernatural, 2005. Some devils do not arrive as monsters. They arrive as negotiators with perfect timing and a smile full of knives. Mark Sheppard's Crowley in Supernatural is not Satan himself, but he becomes one of the show's most devilish figures. A crossroads demon, king of hell, dealmaker, manipulator, survivor, and sometimes an uneasy ally. That is what makes him so addictive to watch. Crowley does not need brute force when he can use wit, leverage, and emotional weakness. Shepard plays him with dry humor and dangerous elegance, turning every conversation into a trap the other person notices too late. His voice carries sarcasm like a weapon, but beneath the jokes is a creature who understands pain, power, and betrayal better than almost anyone around him. In a show filled with angels, demons, apocalypses, and cosmic wars, Crowley stands out because he feels strangely grounded. He is evil, but he is organized evil. He runs hell like a corrupt empire, and that makes him both funny and frightening. Viewers loved him because he could insult a hero, betray a villain, and still somehow steal sympathy in the same scene. His impact came from contradiction: charming but cruel, helpful but selfish, emotional but never safe. Shepard's Crowley proves that the most entertaining devil figure is not always the loudest one. Sometimes it is the one who understands contracts, timing, and exactly how much darkness people are willing to tolerate. Number 7. Misha Collins, Supernatural, 2005. The most disturbing possession is the one that wears the face of someone the audience already trusts. Misha Collins' turn as Lucifer inside Castiel gave Supernatural one of its strangest and most unsettling transformations. For years, Castiel had been connected with loyalty, sacrifice, awkward innocence, and wounded goodness. So when Lucifer takes over that familiar vessel, the horror does not come from a new face. It comes from watching a beloved face become wrong. Collins plays this shift with a sly, off-center energy, letting little changes do the damage. A sharper smile, a looser rhythm, a flash of arrogance where gentleness used to be. This version of Lucifer is dangerous because he feels like an invader wearing borrowed skin, using affection and history as camouflage. The audience knows the body, but not the soul inside it, and that creates instant tension. Collins had to balance two performances at once: the memory of Castiel and the presence of Lucifer. That challenge makes the role more than a simple villain turn. It becomes a psychological disturbance, a reminder that evil can become more frightening when it steals what people love. In the larger mythology of Supernatural, possession is common, but this one hits differently, because it corrupts emotional trust. Collins' performance proves that Satan does not always need a throne, a kingdom, or a new identity. Sometimes the devil becomes unforgettable by borrowing the face of a friend. Number 6. Mark Pellegrino, Supernatural, 2005. This Lucifer does not just want to destroy the world, he wants you to understand why he thinks he deserves to. Mark Pellegrino's Lucifer in Supernatural became one of modern television's most recognizable portrayals of the fallen angel, because he gives the character more than cruelty. He gives him grievance. Pellegrino plays Lucifer as wounded, sarcastic, intelligent, and terrifyingly convinced of his own victimhood. That is what makes him dangerous. He does not see himself as evil in the simple sense. He sees himself as betrayed, rejected, and punished for telling a truth no one wanted to hear. This creates a version of Satan who can joke one moment and radiate ancient hatred the next. His calmness is often more frightening than his violence, because it suggests a being who has had centuries to polish his bitterness into philosophy. In Supernatural, where cosmic family conflict drives so much of the story, Lucifer is not just a villain from hell. He is a ruined son, a rebel angel, a manipulator, and a disaster waiting for an opening. Pellegrino's performance gives the character a slippery charm that makes him watchable even when he is monstrous. That is the trap. You listen because he sounds wounded. Then you remember what he does with power. His impact is huge because he made television's Lucifer feel personal, emotional, and dangerously persuasive. This devil does not only tempt souls, he argues his case. Number 5. Harvey Keitel, Little Nicky, 2000. The devil can be frightening, but Harvey Keitel made him feel like a tired father, running the worst family business in the universe. In Little Nicky, Keitel's Satan is not the traditional horror figure standing in flames with endless rage. He is the ruler of hell, yes, but also a weary parent dealing with rebellious sons, cosmic responsibilities, and the absurd problems of demonic succession. That comic angle could have made the character forgettable, but Keitel gives him surprising weight. His natural toughness, gravelly voice, and old-school authority make this version of Satan feel strangely believable, even inside a wild supernatural comedy. He is powerful, but not invincible. Stern, but not heartless. Dangerous, but oddly domestic. That contradiction makes the performance memorable. The film surrounds him with absurd jokes, grotesque visuals, and cartoonish chaos. Yet Keitel plays much of it with a straight-faced seriousness that makes the comedy sharper. He treats hell like an institution that still needs management, rules, and discipline. That is the funny darkness at the center of the role. Instead of presenting evil as pure horror, little Nicky turns the devil into a dysfunctional patriarch, and Keitel understands exactly how to sell that. His Satan may not be the most terrifying on this list, but he is one of the most unusual. He proves that even the Prince of Darkness can become entertaining when played like a mob boss, a disappointed dad, and a supernatural CEO all at once. Number 4. Viggo Mortensen, The Prophecy, 1995. Viggo Mortensen's Lucifer does not need much screen time, because the room seems to change temperature the moment he appears. In The Prophecy, Mortensen delivers one of the most chilling and underrated versions of the devil ever put on film. His Lucifer is not flamboyant, comedic, or theatrical. He is intimate, predatory, and spiritually exhausted, as if he has seen every human weakness and still finds it useful. What makes the performance so unsettling is its quietness. Mortensen speaks softly, but every sentence feels like it has been sharpened for centuries. He does not play Satan as a cartoon ruler of hell. He plays him as an ancient enemy with intelligence, patience, and contempt. His pale, controlled presence suggests something both beautiful and rotten, a creature who understands temptation, because he understands human fear better than humans do. The film's story revolves around angelic conflict, prophecy, and the battle for a soul, but Mortensen's entrance gives the mythology its darkest pulse. He feels separate from ordinary villainy. He is not merely trying to win a fight. He is protecting his territory in the cosmic order. That makes his Lucifer oddly strategic. He knows evil, but he also knows the rules of power. Mortensen's performance became legendary among fans because it refuses to over-explain itself. His devil whispers, leans close, and lets the audience imagine the rest. That restraint is exactly why he remains so disturbing. Number 3. Tom Waits, The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, 2009. This devil does not stomp into the story. He wanders in like a gambler who has already seen the ending and still wants to play. Tom Waits as Mr. Nick in The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus is a beautifully strange version of Satan because he feels less like a monster and more like a cosmic trickster with endless patience. Waits brings his unmistakable gravelly voice, offbeat rhythm, and crooked charm to a role built around bargains, temptation, and old debts. His devil does not need to shout. He negotiates. He smiles. He waits for pride, desire, fear, and regret to do most of the work for him. The story follows Dr. Parnassus, a man whose magical world is haunted by past deals, and Waits becomes the shadow behind every choice. What makes the performance so memorable is the sense of weary amusement. Mr. Nick seems to enjoy humanity not because people are noble, but because they are predictable. He knows the game, and he knows people usually cheat themselves before he has to cheat them. That makes him dangerous in a subtle way. He is not violent in the traditional sense. He is patient enough to let temptation ripen. Waits gives the devil a carnival quality. Mysterious, funny, shabby, elegant, and rotten underneath. His impact comes from mood. He turns Satan into a storyteller's shadow, a figure who proves the oldest bargains are never really finished. Number 2. Robert De Niro, Angel Heart, 1987. The name sounds harmless until you say it slowly. Louis Cyphre, Lucifer hiding in plain sight. Robert De Niro's performance in Angel Heart is one of the most sinister examples of the devil disguised as a man of wealth, taste, and terrible patience. He does not dominate the screen by shouting. He dominates it by watching. Every gesture feels deliberate, from the careful way he speaks to the infamous moment he handles an egg with ritualistic calm. De Niro plays Louis Cyphre as a figure who already knows the truth and is simply waiting for everyone else to catch up. That is what makes him terrifying. He is not chasing the main character through shadows. He is guiding him toward a revelation that has been waiting all along. The film blends noir mystery, psychological horror, and occult dread, creating a world where every clue feels stained. De Niro's devil fits perfectly inside that atmosphere, because he is elegant enough to belong in high society and cruel enough to suggest something ancient beneath the surface. His calmness becomes a weapon. His politeness feels obscene. The audience slowly realizes that this is not a villain trying to win. This is a collector arriving to claim what is already his. De Niro's impact is devastating because he makes evil feel legally precise, almost contractual. His devil does not need chaos. He only needs the signed debt, the hidden sin, and the final moment when denial collapses. Number 1. Tim Curry, legend, 1985. Before CGI could manufacture nightmares, Tim Curry became one with makeup, muscle, voice, and pure theatrical power. His portrayal of darkness in Legend remains one of the most visually iconic devil figures in fantasy cinema. With massive horns, burning red skin, towering presence, and a voice that seems to crawl out of a cathedral crypt, Curry created a villain who looks like every medieval fear of evil brought to life. But the performance is more than costume. That is the reason it still lasts. Curry gives darkness grandeur. He moves like a ruler, speaks like a seducer, and threatens like a creature who believes beauty, innocence, and light are insults to his existence. The film places him inside a mythic battle between purity and corruption, where the survival of unicorns and daylight itself becomes symbolic. Darkness is not just a monster trying to kill heroes. He wants to possess, corrupt, and extinguish wonder. Curry understands that kind of villain needs seduction as much as power. His darkness is frightening because he is magnificent. You are repelled by him, but you cannot stop looking at him. The makeup created the image, but Curry gave the image a soul, or perhaps the absence of one. That is why he earns the top spot. Among actors who stepped into Satan's hooves, Tim Curry did not merely play the devil. He became the nightmare shape audiences still recognize decades later. So, which devil stayed with you the longest? The charming one, the terrifying one, or the one who felt almost too human? These performances prove that Satan on screen is never just about horns and fire. It is about temptation, ego, fear, and power. And sometimes, the most dangerous devil is the one you almost want to believe.